you look at the lunar surface as NASA has projected this, that is nothing more than their lunar set that they're depicting, because they can't reproduce the pristine condition that the lunar surface would look like, the billions of years of cosmic dust that are there, the other material that comes down from impacts that are on those surface areas. And when you're on the Sea of Tranquility that has very little activity with impacts on there, the dust is going to build up. Even when you look at it in a telescope, you can see the crater, just the tiniest little crater rings are sitting there, and the rest has been filled in with material. Like you can see the fresh ones with the striations around them, the recent impacts on it. But the older ones have filled in. That's hundreds of feet deep.
All right, then why are the tracks all still there? Why are the rover tracks still there? Why are the boot prints all still there? Why are the scruff marks still there on all of these LRO images that have been there for 50-something years? So that means that every time that dust levitates, it falls back down.
Because there is no LRO. There's just a camera shooting pictures off a plaster mold.
Don't say it's off the plaster mold. I think it's doing exactly what I did. All they're doing is going back in time, taking the originals right when they're taking off or whatever, right? And take a shot of that, and there you go. There's your LRO images. It's so simple.
That's off the set. That's off the set, which means if they claim there's pictures from an LRO showing the same thing, with the fine dust levitating with the sunlight, with the photoelectric charge every month, when the sunlight hits it, all of that stuff would be covered up. So if they're still showing it as a new LRO photograph, it means that there is no LRO orbiting the moon, because that's not where they're taking the images from. They're taking the images off of their own videos. So you don't need an LRO.
Right now on the internet, you're seeing a lot of film footage from Apollo that is being cleaned right up from the originals and being put out there, and it is so crisp and clear. It's just like it's a 4K image. Well, in fact, it really is a 4K image, what they've bumped it up to now. Yep. So if you do that and restore it and then start taking single shots when they're, supposedly taking off from inside the craft, there's every LRO picture you will ever need for every mission.
Exactly. Here, I'm going to share the screen. We'll just have a look at the lunar surface from a telescope.
Yeah.
Just wanted to show a little bit of difference. You can see a crater ring here, and you can still see the center. Of the impact on it, you can see the center of the impact on there. And you start looking at this. You can barely see the edge of that crater. Right there, it's all filled in. You can hardly see the edge of that crater. They're all filled in.
Oh, you know what would be really interesting? Take a photo from 55 years ago and let's compare it to this. what would be really interesting? Take a photo from 55 years ago and let's compare it to this. And let's see how many craters are really filled in. That would bust it, because if there's empty craters 55 years ago, compare it to today, and those craters are filled in, then there's no way those tracks can be there, and there's no way that that retroreflector could be reflecting anything. See, that would prove it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that these craters are hundreds of feet deep.
Oh, yeah.
And they're being literally filled in. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that these craters are hundreds of feet deep.
Oh, yeah.
And they're being literally filled in. Apollo 17 is right up in here, or right there, actually.
Yeah, and then Apollo 11 is further south. Go south from there.
Apollo 11's here.
Yeah, Apollo 11's there. That's correct. Yeah.
Apollo 11, and then 15's over here.
Yeah, 15's over there. 17 is halfway between the two. Apollo 17's there, correct, yes. And then Apollo 11 is left and south from there.
Down here.
Yeah, down there. That's right.
16's in about here.
That's right, yeah. Got 14 over on the left.
Apollo 12 is right there.
Yeah, because that big crater at the top is Copernicus crater.
Okay, and Apollo 14 is just underneath this guy here.
That's right, yeah, that's the one. Apollo 14 is where they did the golf shots, so we can go and look for golf balls there. There are plenty around.
Well, if we zoom in a little bit, maybe we'll see some.
Oh, see them, yes, of course we will.
Yeah, we're going to look at how the moon has changed over time here.
Oh yeah, there we go.
This is Copernicus here in 1897.
Okay, yep.
Here's Copernicus in 1970. And then here's Copernicus in 2017. Just between 1897 and 1970, where did this center stuff go from 1800s? I don't see it anywhere here.
Yeah, but that's raised. The center of that one is actually raised. Look at the shadow. It's not a depression. That's actually raised up. I'm looking at where it curls over the lip on the very left-hand side, right there. That's pretty close lined up. Man, did the details ever disappear? There must be a hell of a lot of rain and wind action going on there to wear down those mountains like that.
Oh, a lot of wind. And they've probably got floods as well.
You're saying that crater's, what, 60 miles across?
Yeah, 60 miles across and about 2 miles deep, or it was when it was photographed by Lunar Orbiter in 1966.
I'm looking at the amount of distortion between the two of them on the top half from the center up. Look at the difference on the inner part of the ring at the floor level going up.
Yeah, quite different.
It looks like it's washed away almost, like it's been rained on.
Then what's happened is that all of these ridges, you don't see them here anymore, so they must be all filled in with dust. This is all covered.
You'd have to have some pretty big impacts on there to kick dust around. Well, it's probably filled in the center of it as well, on the floor.
That top crater, see the top crater? That's visible in the next picture. Go to the same position in the next picture. There, that's the one. That's the same crater by the look of it.
Then they're filled right in.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and the one directly below it isn't even there.
Which is why the diameter of the floor of the Copernicus crater appears different.
Then where is all this? It's gone.
Yeah. And this is only in how many years?
Well, this one here again, it says 1897. This one here is 1970.
You realize that you're talking about hundreds of thousands of feet of material missing that has changed? Like if that crater is supposed to be 2 miles deep?
Well, 2 miles deep, when it was photographed in 1966 by the Lunar Orbiter, it's certainly a very different image.
It's quite different. That's a hell of a lot of material to be moved around. Things 2 feet deep and 60 miles across.
It is. There's a lot of material there, which is why there are so many fewer central peaks.
Yeah, if that's happened in that length of time, you show me how to keep a footprint pristine.
They all disappeared.
Okay, that's fine. They're all filled in. So this is what? Let's just say this is 65 years. It's been, 56 years almost since Apollo? So
yeah.
Why are we still seeing tracks and boot prints when these craters are filled in? Why are we still seeing tracks and boot prints when these craters are filled in?
And those are hundreds of feet deep.
That's the Warren Commission report version of Apollo. They're showing you what they want you to see, not what actually is there. Sorry, NASA, you haven't got it right.
They're not filled up. All these craters are empty, and yet here, like 60 years later, they're all filled in. Every single one of them. All the way down here, they're filled in.
Well, guess what? Those little craters you're talking about down there, just the little ones, are more than a mile across.
These ones over here, you could still actually see them, but they're filled in, all of them. Look at this.
Yeah. And further down, there's a very distinct crater on the left-hand side, left picture. You can see the same crater virtually filled in the same position.
That's a lot of material.
Yeah, it is.
You're looking at a crater that's 60 miles across.
Yeah.
So even those little ones down at the bottom on the left-hand side are at least a mile across. They're not even visible. Those little ridges across there could be a half a mile or a mile high, and they're filled completely in. That's a tremendous amount.
Well, that electrostatic lift that appears every 14 days as the moon rotates produces a lot of material. It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, well, like I said, Neil's footprints are an anomaly in itself. First of all, actually being there, and second of all, to continue to exist in a pristine state. That's just another one of those little stories that you just have to discount and just look at the reality. This is the reality.
Yeah, it is.